insightful discussion on Bermuda Triangle of employment to come onto the dais. Ms. Kirti is currently working at Vienna VJIT as an assistant professor in the Department of Civil Engineering. She has completed her graduation from Vienna VJIT and post-graduation from IIT Gandhinagar in civil engineering. She is a member of the Center for Presencing and Design Thinking at Vienna VJIT, a center deployed to help undergraduate students learn and implement design thinking principles to real-life problem solving through empathetic research. Ms. Kirti has since mentored over 150 student teams to adopt design thinking perspective and has been a resource person for several faculty development programs. She is also the faculty coordinator for EgFeature 4.0H. It is my pleasure to introduce today's panelists. Firstly, we have Mr. Arunteja Bukapurapu, who is the co-founder at Ed and Imigo, who graduated from JNTU with a bachelor's degree in computer science and later pursued his master's degree in entrepreneurship from the London Business School. He is a startup enthusiast specializing in corporate sales and business development with an additional skill set of market research, digital and social media marketing. He has given the consulting and research program to startups like Taxi for Sure, Nifla, and more. Additionally, he had also worked on launching and setting up Grofers business operations in Hyderabad. I'd like to invite you onto the stage, sir. As our second panelist today, we have Mr. Mogali Vijender, who leads the social entrepreneurship at Balavikasa International Center and graduated from Osmania University with a bachelor's degree in economics and a master's degree in social entrepreneurship from the Tata Institute of Social Sciences. With about 8 years of industry experience, Mr. Mogali Vijender Garu is now a full-time manager at Balavikasa International Center. Sir, I request you to come onto the dais.
Thank you very much for accepting our invitation and apologies for the delay. So, without further ado, shall we jump into the questions? Sure. Okay. So, as you all know, the topic is the Bermuda Triangle of employment, entrepreneurship, and entrepreneurship. Before I start off, obviously, the first question would be what is the difference between entrepreneurship and entrepreneurship? And do you think there's any difference between R&D and entrepreneurship? Anyone who would like to take the question can go ahead.
Yes, thanks, Ms. Kirti. Thanks to Vienna VJIT. Thanks for having me here. Um, and sorry for the response. Fine. And students who are really interested here, I respect all your time and all. So we'll quickly wrap up. So coming to the point on entrepreneurship, right? See, if you see our own event, our own campus here, so we have thousands of students here. I can see only 100 to 150 students who are actively participating in the event, who are taking the responsibility. So that's itself called the entrepreneurship. So out of them also, in the morning I've heard from few students who are aggressively taking the step like first gathered. I saw the girl named Sriya. So she's proactively shouting all the gather the crowd, engage them, go there, go here. Somehow this shows the entrepreneurship quality. So no one, I mean, entrepreneurship is something like maybe like I can take your example saying like we have to make an event like this, whereas you took that responsibility to scale this and to deliver some value to the institution. Whereas the students like our coordinators, they're like entrepreneurship. So their normal duty is not part of this, but still they took that extra step and they started taking that responsibility that we have to make this best in the I mean in the market or that should deliver to the college value to the college. So that's how I can connect to your event. And coming to the startup culture, entrepreneurship, yes. Even if you see the topmost CEOs like Satya Nadella and Sundar Pichai from Google and Microsoft, they themselves started as an employees to the company, but still they work with this culture called work with ownership. This work with ownership simply defines like entrepreneurship. So they're simply not spending time there at the office just to deliver the task assigned to them. They actually own the task. they want to understand in and out, they want to streamline, and they want to make best out of that, and that creates the best standard in the market. So no one has assigned to do so, but still they take this task as an owner, I mean, work with ownership task, and then they'll improvise the task and make a global standard. That's how shows the entrepreneurship. Whereas entrepreneurship is someone who couldn't. I mean, lot of entrepreneurs will definitely come out and turn as entrepreneurs because they have multiple thoughts to start implementing, but somehow there is no possibility, maybe because of the norms of the company or no encouragement or no consideration factor, whatever. So they turn themselves to come out to start a new venture, and that's how they become entrepreneurs. And I would like to listen from Vignesh also.
So, Vijayendra, yeah. Firstly, thanks, Kirti, and thanks to Vijay IT for having me here. And however, just like I completely agree with Arun Tej here, and just to add, I mean, like the biggest difference I feel in entrepreneurship and entrepreneur is the risk element. That's all. Like when we step onto a nail, I mean, like I step onto a nail, then the reaction I would create, I would give you is different, and like rather than a best friend beside me reacting to it is different. That's all. So that's the big difference I feel, and like the entrepreneur is like always the risk taker, and like the calculative risk is something which is always important. So just to add that though.
That was a great insight. And just to add to what Mr. Arun Tej was saying, this is a fest that is totally run by volunteers. Even the faculty coordinators are considered to be volunteers. And this runs on something that is called holocracy. This is a flat hierarchy. There's no hierarchy here. It's all flat. So everyone is
That's
equally
nice,
responsible here.
impressive.
Thank you for your answers. If I had to go to the next one, this was one common question that we had when we were discussing. Let's say we have different opportunities at hand. I can be an entrepreneur, I can be an entrepreneur, or I can also be someone who's an employee and I want to have a side hustle. How much do you think this would actually work in real life? What do you think are the factors I should be considering if I have these three options in my hand?
That's a nice question, Kirti. See, that's completely depending on the individual. See, I also derived a framework on this and I thought of delivering today. So, any individual, if we take, first thing, how strong he is skillfully and how strong he is financially. Based on that, they can take that call whether I need to come out of my employee life and I can take that risk, I can take that chance. I mean, do I have that courage to start on my own? So that completely depends on their mindset. If somehow they are not fully strong, skillfully or financially, yes, they need some platform to work on. They need some platform to excel their skills. They need some platform to prove that they are doing something best. So obviously they have to work for any company. So and they become like entrepreneurs over there. So they can own the task as working for other company. They'll be ready-madely good with team, funding, infrastructure, product development, whatever. So they, as an entrepreneur, they need to have that courage and guts that they have to come out, invest new model, and whatever they're thinking about, they have to completely innovate a new product and they have to deliver. It takes some time. Until then, they have to hold that patience. But whereas here, as an employee, immediately on day one, I can start implementing my thoughts, and at least I can do good. And if you have chance of both, depends. If they can take call, is obviously I would like to listen from.
That's a wonderful insight, actually. I mean, like you covered everything and nothing left, I guess. So, yeah, yeah, I still remember the question. So, however, like, yeah, partially, I guess, like I agree with Arundesh here, and then I mean, like when it comes to like as you all are students, like I would have been answered this when if I am in with interacting with a professional or like there is an insight for some employees or like other people, but like considering you as an audience, what I would consider is like if I'm in your place, like I passed that stage like 15 years, 10 years back, but like now I can't be. So if I am like more aware, like if I'm in at your stage, I would consider something as third option, where I would be an employee. I try to be as an that employee, and then I'll start experimenting on that small things. Like you already know, like you might be like all you people are from engineering and technical backgrounds, and like you start an experiment with one switch or like one start, like very little, and like that's where you all start everything. And like by the end of the experiment, or like by the end of it, like you would have conducted that experiment multiple times, and like then you perfected it. So that is where I would get myself into employment and start my idea very small. Like I'll start checking with my family, for friends, validate that idea, validate the service, validate that product, and then like slowly I'll build it. Definitely agree with Aruntesh on that individual perspective. I would definitely not give this insight who is not here. Like I definitely feel one thing ki you're all interested somewhere, like you are all somewhere inclined towards entrepreneurship or like social entrepreneurship. That's where you are here. At least like your professor has forced you to be here. Right? So that force it like that works. Sometimes there is a term called forced entrepreneurship. Like you have nothing, mother like what do you call survival is the mother of inventions, or like everything, like problem is mother of every invention. So I would prefer you guys to explore more on the third option rather than be just an entrepreneur, but like not just a employee or entrepreneur. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Vijender.
I would like to just modify the original statements. Like instead of force, faculty has diverted the direction at least. So that's how faculty are here for us, because content is everywhere. In any portal or any internet platform can teach us the knowledge and content, but the faculty is the one who needs to help us to change the direction towards our growth.
Thank you. Thanks for that. So, Mr. Vijender, adding to what you were telling, you said being an employee and having a side hustle, especially when the entrepreneur's journey is starting very early, is something that can be of great advantage. Do you think corporates encourage this kind of work culture? What are the legalities that are there? What is that an employee should consider before they start their side hustle?
So I mean, like in the Indian context, India as a economic context, or like we do not have any policies as such. A lot of people do propagate key entrepreneur centered organization, Amazon. Yeah, I agree on a lot of things, but like it is like Amazon having like out of 100 people, it would be 0.3% people who would be involved in entrepreneurship or intrapreneurship as such. And like it is very little percentage, and like that too, if you are chasing down that line, like you want to be an entrepreneur as you travel along with corporate, it's little hard. I would say if you have so much time, like if you have 10-15 years, then travel that path. No, if you do not want to go and like look at 10-15 years down the line, like you want to do something very quick, 3 months, 6 months, 3 years, 6 years, then I don't ask you to join a corporate, but rather than a startup, join a startup, have a holistic experience around them, and like get that entrepreneurial experience quick, 6 months, 9 months, or like 1.5 year, 3 years. Then cut. By then, like 3 years, you have experimentation with your own idea. By then, you must have validated at least like one level. You would have sold your product to your family at least, right? So that validation is quick enough. Like that's the validation you need, and then you quickly start like convert your time to somewhere 40 minutes to every day 40 minutes to some 4 hours 5 hours. That's how you. The legality part, I don't think India as such has a strong policies around, but like definitely German and Europe countries do have. Not even, I don't think US is also not having such a great policy around.
So I just would like to simplify even more. How many of you are staying in hostels? One, two, three, four, five, six, and almost like 20 plus, right? So we usually see, if you didn't like the food, what we do usually, we order food from outside, right? So or else if we like a few part of the food, then we'll have that and we'll ignore that and we'll leave it. And few people like they'll consume it and they'll ignore. I mean, whatever the taste might be like. So it's completely individual perspective. So if I'm not liking the job, still I made myself convince and then start working for that. If not, few people like they'll start, though they're taking salary from the employer and the company, still they're not satisfied with their job, and then they'll try to engage somewhere else, and then obviously it's not legally no, I cannot define that legally or illegally, but yes, they're not satisfied, they're not convinced with what they are delivering. Same way, uh, I cannot say, I mean, India, I cannot mention that a country like India, whether it's legally strong or not. But companies like, startups or companies in IT or else, if they're not encouraging the employee deliverables or employee results or employee contribution, yes, obviously they'll have the tendency to go outside to get some benefit out of their skill set and all. Mm.
Right. So, yeah, again, if students are joining something like a corporate world, why do corporates actually want to have entrepreneurial skills in their employees? What factors would they want to look in? And is it actually good for an organization to have an entrepreneurship skill set that is being developed in their employees? If not, would come giants like Amazon does something like, they can actually ask the employees to start up something new, and they call them entrepreneurs, and they also give a part of the ownership to them. Do you think that is a good strategy? Do you think it is going to work for corporates as well? And do you think corporates think of any entrepreneurial idea as a competition to themselves, if not nurtured within the organization?
That's very intellectual question, Kirti. But yes, I mean, as I already worked with Amazon for almost like 1.5 year, I can relate this personally. The companies like Amazon, Tesla, Microsoft, Apple, so they have an habit of hiring leaders, not just employees, and they look for the strong leadership qualities within their employees team also, and they'll try to assign the task to them and get it delivered. That's it. Okay, and there's a little minute difference from Indian CEOs or the American CEOs. They'll never have that me, I'm the company syndrome to themselves. So they leave the complete ownership to the team. So like if you are delivering this, that's your ownership. I mean that's your deliverable, and you have to take it ownership, and you make the best out of it. So that's how Jeff Bezos or Steve Jobs are they're the best. They built up. See, one more thing is like if you say the company is outstanding, the company is innovative, the company is smart, we cannot say only CEO is smart. The entire team of the company are smart. So they hire accordingly. So they hire who are having the strong leadership skills where they can own. As I said, WWO, work with ownership. So who can take this part, and he only either the CEO or their upline, they completely rely on the team saying that I need this result. This task is yours. You just go and deliver. That's it. So that's the kind of companies they build, or the kind of culture they work on. That's how the companies like Amazon or Microsoft, Apple are strong, and we call them outstanding and innovative. Hmm.
Do you have something to add, Mr. Vijender? Do you think uh, these entrepreneurs may be considered as competitors? Would corporates look at them like that?
Yeah, uh, definitely. Completely agree with what Aruntaj said. And like definitely agree on one point key, yes, they do not consider as a competition actually. Like we have moved into competitive world to collaborative spaces. Like today for a simple one event, like previously when you see events of any organization, they would have collaborated only with like two, three, four, hardly, or like the maximum of 10. Like let's consider your own event today. You would have actually collaborated more than 60 organizations, more than 60 easily. So where is this coming from? Like that the world is moving towards something else. Definitely it's not a competition, but like it's a win-win situation definitely. An entrepreneur or like an employee who is ready to actually take a lot of like it's not a risk of an employee or entrepreneur, but like who is actually having all these skills but like couldn't pull up that financial resources or like investment to his own idea. or like her own idea. So that's where an entrepreneur and like corporates are coexisting, and like it's a win-win situation for them. That's where that's a strategy being implemented, or like that's a good way actually. A lot of corporates, as Amazon is very much, I'm like at least Amazon and like Google especially, and like a lot of people are actually, a lot of corporates are incorporating that idea.
And I have a story here to discuss about. So, you know, this concept called Prime. Amazon has started this concept called Prime. So, Jeff Bezos actually didn't took this initiative to start the concept of Prime. So, you know, he wants to make something best from Amazon. He's still working on that. In the year of 2005, when uh, Amazon being CEO, he keeps roaming around in the complete logistic chains here and there. He keep meeting all the team members and all. So once when he's working with the logistics team, he said like, so they keep packing the packages, right, for the delivery and all. So what are the first come first serve? So once they got their priority boxes, and whenever they have the shift, like so 8 hours, the employees keep working on that. So after this, they'll have the next shift. So the next shift will be going to the next transit, so next truck. So obviously the first shift will be delivering fast. So the one who is working in that department, he shared to Jeff Bezos saying like, so if you have an idea called something immediate delivery or on need based delivery, because out of this 100, few are like no urgency products, so we can even hold them, and out of this 100, maybe the 101 is the urgency one, so we can even push this to next shift. That's like a part of our own job. So once discussing about this idea, he didn't say like, "Arey, this is a very good idea, and let's go to the boardroom, gather all the core members, let's discuss and make an idea." He immediately there and then said, "How can you make this best? We'll introduce a new concept called immediate delivery or like priority based delivery." He didn't even coin the word called prime and all, priority based delivery. Then Jeff Bezos didn't have this meeting in boardroom. There and then the logistics department, okay, now tell me how you're going to make the best in logistics. And then he told like, out of 100, all the 100 doesn't require this delivery immediately. So out of this, very few. So let's adjust. Let's pick all the products who needs the delivery urgently, and let's make in the first shift. That immediately got the idea like Prime. Okay, now let's start the subscription based model where they can start paying few dollars, where they'll be considered on priority, and they'll be getting 2-day delivery. So that's how the concept of Prime started, and this clearly shows this the companies like Amazon or Jeff Bezos encouraging the entrepreneurship within the company, and that's how that really motivates the other team member to come up with the other idea, and he can definitely make some strong model in the other chain, other part of the business process. That's how the companies like Amazon develops the entrepreneurship.
Thank you. That's a very interesting example for us all to connect with. So this question is specifically to you, Mr. Arun. You do meet a lot of youngsters on a regular basis. So do you think India has the India's youth has a skill set of being an entrepreneur? And also, is there anything that merges entrepreneurship and entrepreneurship, and what are the orientations one should have to be either an entrepreneur or an entrepreneur?
Uh, so if you see the orientations of entrepreneurs, first thing they need to have the strong courage, and they have to be risk taking, and they have to be very proactive, and they should be very strong enough that they can form a new team, and they're very strong enough that they have seen the complete cycle of the business process, and they should uh, take the ownership of the result also, even if that's going to be fail. Yes, I can accept that fail, and I can learn from that failure, and then I can second come bounce back. And here, as an entrepreneur, they can take the ownership of the failure also. But as an entrepreneur, yes, they can be a proactive, the team member. They can be risk taking, because there will be some concept of P&L involved. So if the team is if they're leading the team, so they need to take care of P&L. But here, for the entrepreneurs, the challenge is like either the management or the company, for the activity you are doing, is the management is taking that responsibility for the failure or not. So that's what matter towards the orientation. So, but both are entrepreneurs both are extraordinary, outstanding, smart, and innovative, and very proactive. But only thing is like the external exposure also should support them.
Mr. Vijender, you have been training a lot of students, right? What is your take on India's current youth? How aligned are they towards entrepreneurship or entrepreneurship?
That's a very big question to answer actually. Not just like one minute or 2 minutes. 1 hour is not enough. But like I'll try to keep it very simple. It's like as you asked, like at a India level, I would answer India level. So I mean, like most of like 70% or like 60% is all about poor and like middle class, and so whenever there is a financial crisis among a family, then that triggers the I mean, like that dilutes the risk-taking behavior. So that's entirely. I mean, like I don't think like these audience are actually fit to. So this is going a little deeper. So maybe if you have any questions, like please come back. So as we have that 70 percentage of this population, families who are, and any entrepreneur who would come from where, like it's from family itself, right? Would come from a common people and like would come from anywhere. So that's actually like that financial freedom of a family is actually hindering the risk taking behavior, learning process to a student or a young one. So that's one hindrance I would see. And like the secondly, of course, yeah, I should not be speaking about this, like being in the education institution. So our education system itself is not actually the curriculum or like the activities or like the process of ourselves getting into education is not driven with that entrepreneurial attitude or skills. So these are the two reasons I would say we should look into and like adopt some new things. So
That is a great insight, and partly the second one is also the reason why we are having a fest like this, so that we can have students actually interact with real life entrepreneurs, understand the difficulties, understand the milestones, and then there are a lot of students who step back, thinking that my idea is not great, this is not going to work. Maybe things like this can help them at least open up to themselves, if not others, and explore the area. But thank you, that those are very great insights. So, talking about India again, India has been witnessing a lot of attrition. We have seen something like great resignation happening again. So, do you think this is mainly because there are jobs out there that are paying way above than what was anticipated? Or do you think there's a lot of stress that is actually pushing people? Or is it something like, startups have seen a lot of boom these days? Is it that? What do you think? Where do you think we are going?
Arun is best person to answer.
No. Mm, as I myself started my career in startups and Indian startups. So as a worked for Growers, and I was the first early stage team. So in the few years back, maybe while the eruption of startup investments has been happening in India, there has been a lot of overhiring and overpaying happened. So and see what happens from the company point of view, if they are paying high to someone who can deliver best, so they have a lot of expectations from the team, so they'll have a lot of pressure based on that. And over hiring because they have a false vision that they are going to scale much, so I'm going to expand to all the major cities in the market. So first they'll try to have a proven model, but yes, there needs to be have some proper market research to be done on the each and every market. So tier 1 city is not as equal to tier 2 city. So without having this vision, they think like, okay, this is happening, this is working, let's immediately scale to all the cities. So they'll have some 10 to 15. So as I said, attrition rate, there's a demographical attrition rate is also there. They'll try to hire, they'll try to start a new branch, a new market, and then they'll hire drastically, and they'll never see that growth or that pace or that traction from the market, and immediately and immediately they'll start laying off. So the attrition rate is really going high because companies take a quick reformations. So if this is next happening, then definitely they'll try to inculcate. but the next layer of the team, they'll never have that adaptability to accept that quick change. And they couldn't adjust themselves, saying like they have worked in some pace and later on immediately they have to work in the other pace. They couldn't connect to each other, and then obviously they'll have that concept of quitting or else like checking for the new opportunities. And also, particularly in startups, as I said, the example of Amazon. So soon after hearing Jeff Bezos can call the complete core team to the boardroom and they can take a decision, they can launch the product as an Amazon product. But there and then before the workers, they're asking him to stand and explain the complete process. So at least he's given a respect. Whereas here in Indian startups particularly, uh, some false prestige happening in startups that I myself delivering this. I'm the reason because of for delivering this success or for this success I'm the reason. So they want to have that name and fame, false name and fame, with which that really directly affects the underlying team. So that's a false scenario happening, and which is why so lack of providing a proper growth to team, and everyone should have this concept, particularly founders and CEOs. Founders shall eat last. That's a idiom that we have in US market. If everyone have that attitude that founders eat last, definitely they'll keep the team first. And particularly I myself feel like company first, team next, then yourself. If you have that attitude, then definitely team will get that motivation seeing you working with you. So without lacking this, everyone wants to switch because they doesn't have the respect to work here, and negative team rapport, mm, unable to adapt to the quick changes from the company. So these are the factors that results in attrition rate.
You have anything to add?
By listening to Arun, I completely lost the question.
No, what do you think is the reason for the attrition rate right now, which is at a very high rate right in India?
I'm not the right person.
Okay, no worries. So moving to the next question, this is specifically to you, Mr. Vijay. You come from the sector of social entrepreneurship, right? So what is social entrepreneurship? How is it different from any other entrepreneurship? And how do you assess your growth? How do you assess your success? Because generally for any entrepreneur, it is the sales, the market value, how far the product is reaching. How do social entrepreneurs look at it?
So I myself, I'm not a social entrepreneur as such, but like I do work with the ecosystem. I'm an enabler of social enterprise ecosystem. So we do support social enterprises, and like by my passion, I'm a social entrepreneur enabler, and like by profession also, I'm an enabler for it. So that's the choice I have made, and like I'm been sticking to it. And however, like social entrepreneurship itself is a very great definition we have. Like somebody would say ki, yeah, a cooperative society is a social entrepreneur. Any enterprise is a social enterprise. Somebody like recently there are a lot of awards been recognized, and like a lot of organizations, NGOs are being recognized as social entrepreneurs, but like they do not have an enterprise model. So any enterprise, like when we call, why do we call an enterprise as an enterprise? Is like anything that has a revenue at least, like either it is profit or loss, first having a revenue in place as an enterprise first, and then we talk about something else. So especially it comes to social enterprise, the priority of the social enterprise is all about impact, how it impacts the lives, or like how it impacts the problem, or like how it caters to a problem with a solution. That's the bigger part of social enterprise. So the first priority is impact, the next priority is this financial sustainability of the enterprise. So that's how we just generally define it. And however, there are many organizations which are not having an enterprise in place, like revenue model in place, but like they call themselves as social enterprise. So it's still a not a very perfect definition we have in Oxford Dictionary or like any other standard dictionary. But like we in generally know that impact enterprises is something what we are looking at. Yeah.
How many of you seen this movie called Padman? One, two, three, four, five. Oh, God. So it's the best social enterprise. Arunachalam, Mr. Arunachalam is a TEDx speaker. So even if we consider the topmost social entrepreneurs like Varghese Kuran, the milkman, Vinoba Bhave, for the Buddha movement. See, whenever they start this, they have the burning fire, burning desire that to see. Hope you have seen this Batman movie, right? So nowhere in the scene he didn't work for the money. He wants to bring some change in the market, change in the society, change. He wants to give some value back to society. It's the only intention, only motivation that really delivers the value of the social entrepreneurs. So they'll work for something. I mean, they deeply desire that. They deeply believe that this should be implemented in the market, and that makes the social entrepreneurs. So we cannot link monetary things with this social entrepreneurship because they are the one who brings change to society. And yes, if they can bring, if they can prove that, yes, obviously anyone will there behind to invest on that.
Thank you, thanks for that. Coming back to the question of attrition, the resignations have been happening, at least in the IT sector. What I see is a lot of people at the higher end of the payment, they're quitting the jobs, and because they've got enough financial backup, they're starting up by themselves. But what I personally feel is they have had their expertise in only one area. Do you think starting off like that would pay off on a long run? Is that a good idea? Or is it important for an entrepreneur to know his business in all the perspectives before they jump in?
Uh, See, I mean, we have seen. I mean, when we have these startup journals like Your Story or NC42, they keep writing all the stories. But after 6 months or after a few months, we see that startups have been failed because see, um, yes, they do have a proper knowledge on the process and a bit of process, but yes, they need to work on. See, if we see a lot of salespeople or a lot of business development people will come out of the company and starting up the new venture, but yes, they'll definitely lack on forming a new team, handling the finances, and building a new culture. So if they really had an experience that I have seen the complete cycle of the business process and someone believing him that if he is coming out then I can start going and work with him, or he's really confident enough that I can build a team, business model, and market is going to accept me. In that cases, yes, they can take that call. If not, blindly they come out, they'll fail, and they'll go back to corporates.
Okay, so this was something that is happening in Bangalore. There's a startup where they say we're going to have a 3 day work week. Okay, and that was the main piece of cake they were showing their employees, and they said you can do whatever you want on the rest of the week. It is going to be just the 3 days of work, and we're going to pay you 80% of what you're getting. So they're working just half the time and getting almost the same. Do you think strategies like this would work, or how does the work life balance actually affect the life of an employee or an entrepreneur or an entrepreneur? And is this a good strategy, a 3 day work week?
Okay. Yes, I mean, see, we have almost like 10,000 plus startups working in the metro cities like Bangalore, Hyderabad, and very few companies like this. They might be coming. I mean, because first thing, in the company's point of view, they don't require offices to run to make the employees sit in work together. So they are working randomly anyhow, and remote work culture that can help them so that they can come up with these strategies. But obviously 99% companies will never encourage this. And coming to this work life balance, yes, if you are talking about work life balances, we have to also talk about the reward for results. We also have to talk about the deliverables. We also have to talk about the commitment. So if the reward for result is high, then obviously we'll choose accordingly. So if I'm capable, if I'm able to, if I'm really, dreaming about that or aiming for about that reward for result, yes, then I can contribute my time towards the work. Yes, even though if I work for 20 hours, if the reward for result is same, then obviously I'll spend time with my family instead of spending in my office. Same point. So anyone they have to themselves choose like, so what I'm getting for working for these many hours. So if I really being a CEOs or founders, we see a lot of CEOs and founders spend majority of the time in the office because for the next 2 years or 3 years, maybe in the initial stage, uh, the actually, the 24 hours or 20 hours or few years sleep in the office itself. Even we can see in few movies also, because after 2 years, their lifestyle will be definitely in the other level. So if you are okay with that, yes, we have to lose few hours of time or family time, and then you have to work accordingly. Yes, if you are not getting that lifestyle after 2 years or 10 years or 20 years, then working, ignoring family is completely waste of it. No use of it. That's what I feel. Yeah.
Agree. Agree. on this. And importantly, what the other element, what we should consider for this question is like, it's not that simple to like, it is only one company or like the kind of skills needed for certain job to do. Like I can't like if I'm an entrepreneur, I can't ask some watchman to do only three days of work, right? I have to protect the entrepreneur property throughout 24 by 7. So it is stick to certain profiles, certain roles. So definitely, yes, I agree with the limitation of like certain profiles or certain roles. And of course, I have read the same article which you are referring to, and like the productivity of the team has increased by 200 fold. I mean, like two times. So when it says like increasing something, like decreasing your time and then increasing your productivity is something which is tremendous. Yeah, I definitely agree it is only limited to certain roles and responsibilities or like certain profiles, but if we consider that productivity is twofold, increasing by twofold, definitely we should consider. And like I think like the startup ecosystem is so vibrant. I mean, like people like Karan Tej and like a lot of people are there who are definitely coming up with more certain ideas. And like we should welcome certain ideas or like certain policies or certain practices like this to make life even better. And like work life balance is very very important. Day ends, it's all about like we look after our families, right? It has to be. Yeah.
Thank you. So, this could be the last question from my end. What do you think is the best piece of advice you have received that keeps you motivated in your low times? And another problem that we have been seeing in recently, at least in India, is the suicide rates. You know, and how important is it for an entrepreneur to look after their mental well-being despite seeing some failures? I mean, entrepreneurship or startups always come with failures first and then they succeed later after they learn. So how do you think one has to draw the line between this is a failure that can be accepted and has to be taken forward, and which are those red flags that an entrepreneur should see that this business is not going to go ahead after this, I have to stop it here and move on? How do we differentiate?
Um, I'll just share a simple story told by Abdul Kalam only. Abdul Kalam is working on a project to launch a space mission. So he's the one who is handling the complete 200-member team, and then he's the one for the decision making. So who's the whole and sole decision maker to give any order and command. So while about to launch, and within few minutes, one of the team found some error in the engine. So they told like because it will be completely go waste even though if they stop the project completely here. So Abdul Kalam took that decision that okay, we have no option. Let's launch the mission. Uh, then within almost like within few minutes, the spacecraft got landed in ocean. So then the ISRO chairman, so they met their ISRO chairman saying that we lost the project, we lost the mission. So then he himself went to media saying that so we have worked for almost 2 years, but somehow there is some error and we lost the mission and we are working, we will work again, we lost in next 2 years again. And he came back to the room and then they started working on this. And after 2 years, exactly same team, same mission. Uh, Abdul Kalam was the team director, and he launched the mission that got successful. And he went to the ISRO chairman, and then he said like, "Okay, that's congrats, and go to media, go and announce that your success." So that's how they take the. I was really impressed with this advice, saying like, you should be there for your team. So the team will be believing that you are there as a backbone, as a support for them. Then definitely they can take that wise decision, and they'll definitely work with that respect and courage. Uh, Coming to the point, what is the last point or last question you asked?
How do we recognize between the red flags between a sure shot failure versus a failure that will lead to you to the next stepping stone, next
That's what.
success?
See, without seeing any failure, anyone cannot see the success. So they have to prepare. See, once they are getting into the mode of startup, they have to get ready themselves for the failure. As a 1 or 2 or 20 or 40, we cannot say the number, but they have to prepare themselves for the failure. Later on, yes, maybe after when we see the game called Angry Birds, and that is the Angry Birds' 54th attempt, and they got succeeded, and they lost 53 times. So there are multiple stories you can get inspired. So only one thing, you should have that burning desire in your belly that you have to do something bigger in your life, and keep doing, keep pursuing. That's what I believe.
Yeah. So just to add to Arun Tej, how do we actually see that red flag and like, yeah. So just whenever you have like, whether you are an employee or student or like an entrepreneur or whenever or wherever, even like this can be applicable for girlfriend also or a boyfriend also. So I would say ki always take a calculative risk. Eh, like a beggar coming around and like you feel that sympathy heart, like you intentionally go and like search for some change and like 100 rupees, 10 rupees, whatever, 1 rupee, and you, so that's a calculative risk we take. If I'm giving 100 rupees, it is not going to make any difference to me. So that's where you need to be careful on putting that red flags and like how. So if it is taking more than what is not affordable to you, then better you rethink and like stop it. Always take a calculative risk, always. That will always help. And like especially in the entrepreneurial journey, definitely Arundesh has not kept it that straight, but like he would have always taken that calculative risk. Otherwise, I don't think 8 years journey is not possible. Huh? Yeah, thanks.
And to add one more point, as I said earlier, my learning and my advice to this is like, always company first, team next, then yourself. So we should be, I mean, to develop a company, I mean, world class companies or like strong company in the market or strong brand name in the market, yes, everyone should have this, core team should have this formula. Mm.
Thank you very much. Do we have questions from the audience?
Hi. Yeah, I can hear. I can hear.
Yeah, you can hear me, right?
Yeah.
So, do you think that our Indian saving economy will make is that we can say that saving economy is making the our Indians to be stay within the Bermuda Triangle of employment rather coming out of it, as we are in the saving economy mindset, or well, we can say that the other countries where most of they have consuming economy makes them to come out of the Bermuda Triangle of employment and make them entrepreneurs or entrepreneurs. This is my first question. What's your views on that? And my second question is, will this what you call like false pride, or politics, are these things that are exist in India makes an employers in India not to encourage entrepreneurship within the companies or corporate world, where most of the Indians, saying from Sundar Pichai, Microsoft Satya Nadella, Arvind Krishna, and latest Parag Agarwal, who all went to the different culture of consuming economy, where the culture of politics doesn't exist, and makes them a CEO or CPO of the more corporate world. So what you saying that what are your views on this?
Sure.
Will the India coming out of the saving economy to consuming economy will make more entrepreneurs or entrepreneurs in
Understood.
this?
May I know your name, please?
Suhas.
Thanks, Suhas. Thanks for the question. And you have been very attentive, I believe, then. So thanks for the audience. Suhas, coming to your first question, I mean, see, savings economy and consumer economy, see, maybe this fancy jargons we can use, but yes, everyone will have their own things to take care of, right? So, I mean, completely focusing on the startup world, we cannot say like savings economy or consumer economy will thrive, or or savings economy is not succeeding or the consumer economy is not succeeding. So we cannot judge that based on the complete market scenario. First thing, see, if you see 99% of the founders, they never started the business or company or the startup on their own capital. So they'll just do some homework, they'll create a proven business model, and then they'll go for funding for sure. Okay, so very rarely who are doing good in the top notch after 50s and who had the bigger savings, then yes, they can start. So first thing, if to thrive or to get success in startup or business world, should have that strong desire to bring this product to the market, or to fill this gap in the market, or to do something big in the market. You have to have the strong fear, strong guts, and strong feel. So based on that, yes, if you can prove that, there are a number of people who are helped to support and funding and all. Okay. And coming to your second point, from Sundar Pichai, Satyanarayana until the Parag Agrawal, yes, if you can see the path they have chosen. Okay, so yes, maybe in Indian companies we may not build that drastic change of building the world class companies, but yes, they have chosen the path. They had that vision that I want to do something good in my life, something great and outstanding in my life, and they have chosen the path. Say if I usually take these, how many of you know about Bahubali or Triple R? No, right? So they have tasted the success of Bahubali on single day, on the day of release, right? But they have worked for almost 5 years before that. Even we have seen the recent trailer Triple R, and everyone that's got a buzzword in the market, and we keep giving all the applauds and credits to directors and actors, but they have worked almost 3 years behind that. Same way, see Sundar Pichai, even honestly, Sundar Pichai, 90% of the market doesn't know the name of Sundar Pichai or Satyanarayana until they are about to announce the name of these two people, or even Parag Agarwal also. Honestly, the first time I heard from the Twitter saying I've seen this trending name. So accidentally just I missed that, and later on I tapped that and I got to know that he has become the CEO. So they have chosen the path. I want to be the biggest, or I want to do something great in my life. Okay, since then they started working on delivering best to the company, maybe like entrepreneurs. So they started delivering best. See Sundar Pichai, if I take, yes, the biggest innovations like Chrome and Android. That's the idea of Sundar Pichai, which is why he then now the complete business running on Chrome and Android. Same way, Parag Agrawal. So the complete technology, he's the man behind the complete technology. The negative atmosphere, or see, it's easy to throw the blame on if you are not growing, or else like if you are not, Indians have the tendency to throw the blame immediately. So I'm not growing because of my team, my boss, or my company, or my country, or my money. So let's first take the decision. It's you who has taken the decision, who has taken the path. After taking the path, never ever blame about the journey. Okay, so before that, you have to have the clarity whether I have to be in this path or not. Okay, and later on we shouldn't blame the names of toxic work atmosphere or political work atmosphere or negative work atmosphere. Okay, initially we have to be very careful. So we are youngsters right now, so maybe in a year or two you have to take the decision. So you have that vision that I want to be do something great. So if your homework, if your smart work is enough to get the traits in your team, obviously no one will touch you. Okay, if you're delivering good in your team, or if you're delivering good in your company, obviously no one will point at you or do some negative things at you. Okay, I believe that's the answer.
No, nothing as such to add actually. But like your question is like I'm not experty of that, but like simply to keep my opinion straight into that, like that's where I started working in social enterprises. Social enterprise is something like where you identify the problem, start working around it. So whether it is a consumerism or like consume, whether it is a market, whether it is non-market, whether it is IT, whether it is like whatever it is, like the consumerization is there or not, the problem is there, the solution is there. Like you start working towards the problem and solution. So that's where the world is better place, better than today. That's where like that social entrepreneurship space is become something else altogether. Yeah, that's all.
So that's a bigger question awaiting then.
Not really, but I have Two questions
Yes, sir.
actually. One question I want two parts to be answered by both of you,
Sure, sir.
and that is first because you are from London School of Economics, Arun Tej, I wanted to know what outlook or what how social entrepreneurship has. I mean, what kind of place social entrepreneurship has in a place like London School of Economics. I mean,
London
economics
Business
we
School.
usually
Yes, sir.
see it as something to do with money, and social entrepreneurship we usually see as something that has to do with no money, kind of. And now the second part of that question to you, Vijender, would be: on one hand, with due respects to what you do and what social enterprise is, on one hand, if I say I'm an entrepreneurship, the world already sees me as jobless. And if I say I'm a social entrepreneur, the world says I don't even know what I'm doing and I'm jobless. And you, on the other hand, actually lead social entrepreneurs. So, how do you explain your job to people as what you're actually doing? Is what I want to ask as the first question. And if you want me to wait on the second, I'll
Yes,
wait.
sir. We'll first discuss on this. As I mentioned, social entrepreneurship is like a which has to be done with the heart, sir. So not with this mind. Okay, so we have to tune that frequency here. That I'm going to change, or else I'm going to fill the gap, or I'm going to bring something valuation to the society, and it's completely wholeheartedly. That's completely a process driven, not a financially driven. So even as I said, I mean Arunachalam sir or Varghese Cure and Milkman or Padman. So we have seen the success stories. So we have read the long story. I mean, because that doesn't happen. That not happen in just a matter of months or days. So they have kept this idea in their mind and heart for almost like few years or decades also, but still they believe that I want to bring this change to society, I want to fill this gap in this process or in this product. So that's how they opt for the, I mean they opt the path, and we coined it as a social entrepreneurship. But they themselves didn't start this because I want to do big and make money out of that. Even I believe Arunachal sir Padman is still selling for 2 rupees. They're not making money out of that because their intention is not, when they start this, their intention is not to make money, to deliver some valuation to the market, to deliver some value to the users and customers. Uh, that's what I will say, because we call the social entrepreneurs after their success. But yes, when they start, they'll never have the intention to make money, because they're well matured spiritually, consciously, that they're not working, and they are good enough with their financial setup what they have, and they're good with that, and they don't have that mad of making money with their day-to-day actions or with their job or with their roles, etc. Sir.
But no,
Yes, sir.
I
Yes, sir.
still have. I mean, my part of how London School of Economics is social
London
entrepreneurship.
Business School, sir. Sorry. Sorry, sir. What's the question?
How does London School of Economics see social entrepreneurship, or do you know any social entrepreneurs, probably from India or outside, who came to London School of Economics to become social entrepreneurs,
Yes, sir. I
or
mean,
probably changed their idea after coming there over?
obviously, sir. A lot of people, and I myself thought of implementing one social change, social enterprise, but still I couldn't, because literally I cannot make single rupee out of that. But yes, that can literally change the complete transport system of Hyderabad. But I couldn't make that. Even sir, if we talk about the college like London Business School or the entrepreneurship, obviously they are interlinked with the money, sir. If there is no potential of making money, obviously they'll never encourage. They'll just give you the advices. But with advices, nothing will make. Only the one who is holding that idea or thought or concept in their heart, they themselves should figure out how to launch this and how to scale this.
Thank you.
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
Vijendraji.
Yeah, more or like I'll go with Arun this, and like just to add, how do you lead is the part that is unanswered, I guess. So yeah, everywhere like we always have that pagalpan. Pagal is always there in the classroom. Within professors also, I would take yeah, वो पागल professor है यार, एक है वो वैसा. So that those people are always there. So I would say that the social entrepreneurs which I'm actually handling with are these pagals, and like I'm better like double pagal than them. That's all. That's all.
That was
So
very modest.
that's it. And like especially on the part of this economical or like the financial stability which Arundesh was sharing. Yeah, it is very tough to make a social enterprise very financially sustainable or like feasible, and then grow on it. Like profits earned towards entrepreneur. Yeah, it's very tough, but like there are minimum benchmark. We have like social entrepreneurs even higher than that, and like across world, though there are many more. So it's all about that pagalpan. Just remember that.
Before I go to my second question, I have a request probably from our audience who are here and other students who are not here. Would it be possible for us to visit the beautiful campus of BVIC as a team, maybe? Because for the others, I would say it is a beautiful campus that you really want to be in. In fact, I'm not sure if the guest houses are ready and such, but yeah, it would be great if you can even stay over there and such.
So, as I like, just to relate to the previous answer, we are Pagals and we live in Pagal spaces. So, ours is a Pagal space, and
Oh,
like
then
we
I
have
have a
a
lot
very
of
beautiful
Pagals.
campus.
A lot of us are Pagal, even
So,
just to go there.
welcome all the Pagals.
Thank you.
So, and one more thing, I mean, like in the last, I would like to take 2 minutes of this time, I mean, just to tell about social entrepreneurship, and just to encourage the students. That's it.
Yes, please. I wanted to request that anyway. And a question to you, sir.
Yes, sir.
You were actually mentioning about Microsoft, Google, and Sundar Pichai, Satya Nadella. And then I was reminded of this quote from Hit and Refresh. I may be paraphrasing, but he said at some point, he says, all these people, I mean, when I was talking to other employees, I see that they had ideas. All of them came with dreams like me into Microsoft, but now they feel that the company has lost its soul. My first job as a CEO would be to instill hope. That statement can definitely resonate very well with entrepreneurs also, who have to do it day in, day out. But Satya Nadella had a Microsoft backup. When he can instill hope, well, there is still a fallback for them as a huge giant like Microsoft. But for entrepreneurs, if I fail, the whole team fails. How can I, as an entrepreneur, instill that hope?
So, sir, as I said earlier, so keeping the team first all the time. So at least they should know what's happening in the company, in the process, and at least whatever they are working on. So what's going to be the outcome? And if that is going to be released in the market, or if that the outcome is really big enough, then they should know that yes, we are the we are the team who are responsible for this success or with this product launch. If they, I mean, Microsoft, I mean, whoever the CEOs, or top notch CEOs who are right now there, so they inculcate this belongingness, or like employees will have that work with ownership concept. So obviously they can and also travel together. So even in the Indian companies, we see big buildings, uh, and 90% of the team doesn't know where CEO sits. And if we keep hearing the stories of Steve Jobs saying like he keeps taking the plate and sits in between the canteen, randomly he sits with the team, and he randomly points at what do you do, what's your role. So and there is a concept like if Steve Jobs is there, at least team will sit 2 to 3 tables behind that, or 2 tables away from the Steve Jobs table, because he travels. Even if someone randomly enters into the lift with Steve Jobs, he will screw for next 30 seconds or 10 seconds. What are you doing? When have you joined? What is it? Whatever the questions, because he got a number of things in his mind, and he got the entire business process in his mind, and he keep questioning everyone. So at least he will understand what everyone is doing, and what the team member is perceiving about the company and about the CEO. And here we have lagging that we don't have usually MDs. I mean, we have that false designation like MD. So like a big chair and big table and big room, and only the core team boardrooms and all. So when a CEO or a MD or chairman keeps traveling the employee, the team, they'll actually understand the perceive. I mean, how they perceive the company, how they perceive the a boss or whatever, and how he can, as I said, flat hierarchy. If we can implement that flat hierarchy, and if we can travel together, everyone will know what's happening. So obviously, everyone will have that belongingness towards the company, that this is my company, and I'm owning this. So in everyone, including a watchman, even we heard the story of TCS security guard. So when somehow in a big rain, somehow he couldn't take the couldn't take the gus from airport to company, and then he hosted himself in his own house. He said like, why you're taking that pain? TCS should take that pain. He said like, I'm TCS. That's the only statement he can give, because he is really owning that company, that I feeling that I'm the TCS. TCS is not just only the Tata. Each and every employee working there is a TCS. So they can create that belongingness to the entire team. and it's up to the team individuals whether to take up, to keep it up, keep it within yourself, or to the loyalty or whatever that. It's up to the team members. So, but as I said, discussing about entrepreneurship always the bottom top approach. Entrepreneurship always the top to bottom approach. So when they take decision, that should be implementing in the next level, and the ideology or the concepts or the strategies they are thinking about, and how that is getting passed into the lower level of the team. So if they can create that transparency, they can create a straight flow. Yes, they can create that. If I'm thinking XYZ, and if something like XABC is getting into the team, obviously the product or the company will be at the stake. That's what I.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. More question?
Sir, I have a question
Yes, please.
about the hindrance of this risk management, risk-taking nature because of the Indian family culture and the financial status there. So, as I was a part of one family, which is a middle class family there, and also financial status matters a lot. So, if I have interest towards entrepreneurship as well, and I just want to build a good product towards for the society, and I just want to market it in the right way, and then get good income from it. So, at this part, I must work for that at least 2 to 3 years, or at least up to 2.5 years or 3 years. It would be taking for me to do a ground research on it and make it a good product into the market there. But for that, I need some financial assistance, and as well as I must make my family understand that what I am exactly doing, and so that they would not be they would have some confidence on me that yes, my kid is doing so and so, which is useful and which is right for his life as well. So for that part, like at present, we'll be just they are just training us what we should do in some company there. They're just not training us like what are the new products that we can build, but the training just they are giving us specific colleges like learn this course, learn that course, and go join a company. So, but there are some specific things that we should learn on our own, and we should apply ourselves there. So for that, the time is being taken. So can I make this two-way? Like, can I make these things at a time? Like, can I manage myself? And what are the proactive measures that I should take so that the journey of these 3 years or these four coming up 4 years, what are the proactive measures that I should take, and what are for what mistakes that or what are the challenges that I would face and make myself ready for that. No, sir, it's
Sorry, sorry.
just open to all.
So, sorry, may your name, please?
Vasista, sir, Vasista.
Va-
Vasista, Vasista.
Vasista. Hi, Vasista. Coming to your first concept, yes. Sorry, what is the first question? I lost that. Very first statement.
Very first statement, like
You belong to a family where you would like to start something, but you need to help you. I mean, you need to
financial
convince your.
assistance, sir.
That's what you need to convince your family,
Family, yeah.
or you need to convince your family that I'm working on startup.
Yeah.
You're asking them to support financially, or you are convincing that I want to work in startups.
I'm convincing them that
You-
I'm working on a startup and please support me for that.
So that's not fair deal actually. So you're asking a wrong question to wrong people. So parents, see, if you are doing something, you have to have the proven model that I'm going to do something. That's like explaining about what we call gravitational force to our dogs or pets. They'll not understand, right? So because they keep doing this, but they'll not understand. Same way, parents doesn't take that risk on spending. So who can take that risk on spending? If you can create a proven model, there are certain people like VCs or angel investors who can help on this, but only one thing is like you have to prove that. And we are living in a generation where the knowledge or the content is available everywhere in your own hand, in your own pocket. So you can definitely get that knowledge. You can definitely have the dream, desire, aim, goal in your heart, and how effectively you're working every day on that. See, I keep meeting people in T Hub. So either we have that Lamak Khan. In 2014, 14, 15 the time. So I met a guy. He said like I'm working on startup model, and I heard the startup model. That's very good. And I was the same guy in 2018 in T Hub. I just asked him, what are you doing now? I'm working on a startup. So what startup? So earlier that's like a some fancy e-commerce and all. Right now it's 3D printing. So that startup idea has been changed and everything has been. But have you launched any of your startups? No. So still having that false interpretation in their heart, saying that I'm launching, I'm working on startup. Okay, but still they'll never take that. They'll never go beyond the extra mile to have that one customer. If you can see that one customer or first one rupee that getting into your account or into your company account, it's called ideation only. So you cannot convince anyone in the world with just ideation. Okay, either you have opinion or fact. You might be having a number of opinions. Maybe we are calling it ideas. Okay, you have to have a supporting fact that yes, if I do this, this is the change I can bring. If you can prove with this fact with a minimal number, I've started implementing this within my team, within my family, or within my circle, within my college, within my friends, and I got this is the response what I got. If you can turn that opinion to fact, if you can turn that idea to proven model, yes, there are a number of people in the market who are ready to invest on you. Okay, and never ever, I personally suggest you never ever ask money from your parents, because they already spent a lot of money on you since your childhood. Okay, and now if you shock them saying that I want to launch a startup and they need some fancy figure like 10 million or 1 million or whatever, they'll feel bad like my son is going wrong somewhere. Okay, first prove, see, for them they expect only job. Okay, start working on that and create a startup mindset within yourself. Okay, though you're working for a company, so you have almost like 24 hours, 8 hours for your sleep and all, 8 hours for your job and all. Next we have 8 hours. You spend that 8 hours productively on your idea and start doing something. Make some progress month on month, week on week, year on year. So like the next, as I said, 2014 same startup concept, and 2018 model has been changed. So if you would have launched at least one customer, at least one product, and can see one customer, you would have literally scaled that company to the next level, because they couldn't dare enough to go beyond that extra mile to face that one customer and to get that one rupee into the account. They'll never ever they'll end up with the failures only. They'll never ever create a startup or company. Same way, you create your startup mindset. Keep that startup mindset, keep that startup thinking on. Okay, get your job first, start working on that, and in your free time, go spend some time in the startup ecosystem like T-Hub or Lamakan or wherever the startup meetings happening. Follow all the webinars, follow all the content available on the internet, and then find day you had a complete planning of launching your product or launching your service to the market. Start with zero. Start wherever you stand right now. Start with what all resources you have right now. Start with zero. Use free services, free tools, or whatever available. Start, and then get at least one customer, at least 1 rupee, or at least one convinced customer. Month on month, you can see after 1 year, yes, you'll be having a proven model. Instead of speaking the same idea the next year, working for some other company, you can start working every day, so 1 2 hours every day. Get some few customers onboarded, and improvise the product model. Improvise the, see, once you get your customer, they'll keep sharing their own experiences. Based on that, you keep improving the product. By 1 year, yes, you will have a full-fledged complete business process, and then yes, you can launch that. After proving, if we have a number of VCs, angels in the market, just go to their website. They'll be having on the landing page itself, you can draft them the PDF, or else you can mail that PDF stating what best you can do. They'll definitely call you. They'll listen to everything, and they'll see your seriousness, how serious you are towards this product, how you have owned this product, and definitely they'll start spending initially, step by step. They'll never give you the funding upfront. Go, I'm depositing your money. They'll first, if I'm releasing it, if I'm allocating you $10 million, where are you going to spend first? Team, product development, or technology, or service, whatever the cost. Initially, they'll start launching, releasing 10% of the amount. They'll ask for 10 customers at least, or it's like 100 customers at least. You bring these 10 customers, I'll release the next amount. In that case, you can start first. See, start with wherever you stand. Okay, start with whatever resources you have. First, get the concept from your heart to the market. Then later on, you can say snowball. That goes big. Okay, I'm I'm sorry for the long answer.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for giving me some clarity on what it is. Thank you so
but
much.
but but develop that startup mindset. Okay, no
Sure,
need to
sir.
immediately go and work in startup. So first get your job. Okay, so do not get disturbed with this fantasy world in startups. Okay, and I suggest everyone to stop calling startup. When I go to T Hub also, what you do? I'm a startup. I'm a startup. I request everyone to stop calling startup because they'll never see. Startup is not about product development. Startup is not about wearing shorts and having MacBook and iPhones and sitting in paying 6,000 rupees for T Hub and paying. Startup is not that. Okay, call that as a business. So what are you doing? I'm about to launch my business. If you have that business in your heart and mindset, yes, you will think about the getting money from the market. If sorry, sir, because I keep interacting with T Hub, no, everyone will say like, "What are you doing?" I'm a startup. They'll wear the fancy shorts and with the MacBooks and all, paying 6,000 rupees to T Hub or whatever the co-working space available. They'll keep working on all the nonsense things, and they call themselves startup. They'll never launch a product in the market. Okay, instead of that, tune your heart and brain. Said, I want to launch a business, or call it as a startup business. Okay, startup. I'm into startup business. So then you can select business, the big word. You can tune your mind that I need to deliver something to market and make something out of that. That really helps you actually. Okay, so first inculcate the startup mindset, get a job, and then work on your model, launch within your circle, within your friends, within your market, or within your apartment, or within your area. So do not feel that ego, because I myself stood in on roads distributing pamphlets also, because if I feel that I want to get some change, I want to get the customer, yes, I have to. And initially you have to make your hands dirty. You have to yourself go everywhere and promote your product, and then until you see that first taste of that first 1 rupee getting to your account, you have to do by yourself. CEO, you know CEO? What do you mean by CEO?
Executive officer.
Chief Everything Officer. Okay, you have to be your CEO. Okay.
Great answer. Any other questions?
Hello, sir.
Hi.
You
What's
have
the name?
said regarding APJ Abdul Kalam story,
Yes.
but private businessman is completely different from APJ Abdul Kalam because the government funds the APJ Abdul Kalam's mission, whereas in the case of private businessman, he has to keep his own assets. How can we differentiate regarding the failures?
Which is why we see failures. See, that doesn't matter. That's not the matter of government funds or private funds. That's like a responsibility. Even he's answerable. See, the way how a private man is answerable for his own funds. Even sorry, I lost the name of ISRO chairman. No, IPJ Kalam and ISRO chairman. Satish Dhawan. Sorry, Satish Dhawan. So even Satish Dhawan is answerable to the funds he's allocating to the team, right? Same way, he's answerable to the government. Here he's answerable to some private firm. That's it. But the kind of ownership, the kind of leadership, what they inculcate, that what matters.
Another question, sir. Instead of building a business from the scratch, what if we'll work in a company similar to that for 5 to 10 years and then extract all the information and the contacts and set up it easier?
That's the right strategy, but you have to do very carefully, because the existing company will not just such a fool that they'll entertain you. But see, learning is fine. Getting the context and coming out is not a fair thing. Okay, so if you want to nurture in that industry, in that environment, yes, join and work for that company. That really helps you. But if you get that context and getting out, obviously some negativity will. I mean, you'll be creating some negativity out of your exposure, and then things will be at a different level.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, but that's a nice idea. Whenever you have some intention that I want to see myself in this industry, in this career, that's a nice idea. Go and join that company, learn the process, and ideally step by step you can come out and you can start by your own one, and create your own create your own market. Do not kill the customer, kill the business of your own company. When you get out the client by killing their own business, obviously they'll create some negativity impact on you, right? You come out, you create your own market. Okay.
I mean, like, just to add to this person, your name, sorry, Vashishta. So, I mean, like, there was one more element which we can cover in your question is like, in between your idea towards revenue model, there is a gap. I mean, like that's where nowadays, like it's good that like now you are here and like you are into the next level, and there are a lot of fellowships around. There is like SPN, like first, so if you are seriously looking at social entrepreneurship space or like social enterprise, there are a lot of fellowships available. That's our fellowship. Like I can give you like 10, 15 more such kind of fellowships where you can actually have you supported through that fellowship, where you can also explore your idea, where you can have that validation of that MVP model of your idea. And then whenever that fellowship, like generally a fellowship is like 1 year time. So I have seen like even this 22nd we are having a panel discussion. I mean, like one of the social entrepreneurship talks we have through our organization. So the panelist, the speaker who is there, he is a seven fellows. He is having seven fellows. He explored his idea for seven through seven fellows, 7 years, and now he's a great social entrepreneur. So there are a lot and number of possibilities, but like there is no standard way around. And definitely, I agree on one point. I don't this what he said. Like validating your idea is something which is very very important. So that's need to be focused. Yeah.
Yes, please, Suhas. Oh,
Yeah, sir, I have one question.
yes, please.
Like you was mentioned that don't ask parents that I am going to start up and fund me. Well, do you think that Indian parents has to come out of that mindset and encourage more entrepreneurs, young entrepreneurs especially, like what is your view on that? And my second question is, well, I'm sorry, I think you are from the corporate culture. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm sorry if I'm wrong. Well, how corporate culture is in India encouraging make sure that the upcoming generations of us not make sure that we select the route or path of India, working in India, and not rather like making more other Satya Nadalas or Parag Agarwals to go out of the India and make their nations develop rather than developing our nations here itself. So how well the corporate culture is encouraging Indians to work here to develop our nations. Well, I think the social aspect also will come into this. Uh,
Yes, Suhas. So your first question, if you try to I mean, traditionally all the typical 90% of Indian families, Indian parents, if you try to explain the startup world, and if you try to get them out of that old nation, they'll try to send you out of your own house. Okay, okay. So because first thing they'll not understand, because the kind of, see, this that's called generation gap. So the kind of generation right now we are seeing is much different than 10 years back. Okay, with respect of technology, everyone is changing now. But yes, they very few parents, yes, they can understand, that they're really well educated and they're seeing the real time world. Definitely they can help you, but you cannot go to that orthodox family or the same old notion, I mean, to the parents with the same old notion. If you explain and try to get them out, they'll send you out. Okay. Yeah. And to answer your question, like CEOs who are nurturing there, yes, there are almost like thousands of Indians who are working in the top notch level in all the companies. Okay, out of that, few like 6 to 7 people who are really excelled and had become the CEOs of the topmost companies. But that could be really very difficult. Maybe, I mean, I shouldn't. Maybe we should feel bad on this as an Indians. But yes, the Indians. It may take a decade time, I believe, to build that culture, to build that ecosystem. And yes, we do have top notch. See, if you take all the CEOs like Paytm, Swiggy, Zomato, Book My Show, Ola, Uber. So if you can see all these companies, yes, they are really scaling up well. But yes, things have been changed. Things have been changed completely. Maybe by next decade, we can see the dream what you are dreaming right now. Okay.
thank you, sir. Yeah, yeah. So, what's your view on this? Like building up a nation in the aspect of social entrepreneurship.
Sorry, sorry.
Yeah, sir. Rajan, sir.
Want me
Vijay,
to
sir. I'm
answer?
sorry.
Arun is actually answering better. So why would you want me to answer?
And I think
So I mean, like, definitely, I'm a very very strong believer of social entrepreneurship. Very very strong. I want every corporate company, every other institution to be a social entrepreneur enterprise. That's what like my personal opinion is. Why I strongly believe that is social entrepreneurship is not about the financial feasibility. Like the financial feasibility between friends. Like I'm quoting a different example. If you are like, we can take it offline also. What is financial feasibility between friends? Like if I'm earning, let's say Arundej is my friend, and like I have 100 rupees, he has 0 rupees. So if we want to go together, which is costing us 50 rupees. So what is the financial feasibility? Whether Arundej is earning is, does it matter? Does 100 rupees earned by Vijender matters? So what is that? I mean, like I'm just starting questioning the fundamentals. That's all. So finance is something which we created. Agree, but like which is important. Agree, but like it is only important. It is not everything, right? So that's where I strongly believe in social entrepreneurship and any idea. Like yeah, definitely I agree that like I'm a double pagal, right? So a lot of people do contradict with this idea, and like every entrepreneur definitely disagree. He has to, she has to disagree with me. Otherwise, there is no financial feasibility. If like government can give anybody like everything on free basis, right? No finance. So I don't say that everything has to be free. Everything has to be nothing to do with finance. That is there, but like it has to be mutually coexist, and like it has to coexist. That's where I'm coming from. And definitely every family, every person has the ability of becoming a social entrepreneur. Because I mean, like I'm just taking that last 2 minutes which I asked just to close this, and then I can also. So let's say anybody, any youngster, क्या बनना चाहते हो? Police, doctor, and then somebody say आजकल का businessman कोई दिखता है तो like one good movie, anything around business. Then a lot of youngsters would start saying like मुझे CEO बनना है, मुझे बहुत बड़ा company बनाना है. Yeah, everybody, every youngster or like a lot of even college students, even like elders also, 35, 45, 50, 60s also. You all know about KFC, how it got started, at what age and all, right? So that aspiration is always there. But what is missing, or like what we are not realizing, like when you quote unquote to this Steve Jobs ka, I'm very bad with names, so if I'm quoting some wrong names, excuse me, but like take the concept. So Steve Jobs, I mean, like before he passed away, like the last few interviews, he talked about what is that technology which I'm giving to make better human, make better world. He was focused only on that. That the previous one, he was focused on how I give the best technology, best tool, best product to the ecosystem. But like slowly, what everybody is turning into, you take up any big corporate or like big corporate, big CEO or like big achiever, big leader, they're all now talking about the impact in the last like after they achieved the big financial stability or like big profits or something. But like why can't we start thinking about that from the day one, right? Day one we can start looking at it. Like a lot of people, I mean like at least in my friend circle, we have a regular gathering every alternative month. We do have a small gathering, वो होता है ना, party ऐसे ही, school friends. And then what do we talk about is like, yeah, abhi after like having 50,000 of monthly income, everything is same, either it is tax, either it is, but what it matters is how frequently we are meeting, how frequently we are sharing, how frequently I'm doing something which is making me feel like satisfied. That's all matters, right? So I mean like let's not start this journey of taking satisfaction out of what you are building at a later stage. Let's start that with a start, I mean like day one. Have a beautiful, I mean like a lot of people do say two things I remember from many motivational or many sessions is what you have to do is like to take a lead, All you need to do is start. What I will say is like, just start with a calculative mindset. That is first part. Second, I would say ki figure out what you are very careful about. Like what is that purpose? Like everybody is like emotional about something, right? Everybody. Somebody who's be careful about trees, somebody would be careful about pets, somebody is like careful about, like they are more emotional about something, right? Somebody is more careful about like इतना बड़ा फेस्ट चल रहा है, कितना फूड वेस्ट हो रहा है, कितना पानी वेस्ट हो रहा है. Somebody is like, so take, like choose carefully, or like figure out the purpose you are looking at, you are into it, and build something around it. It will automatically give you fame, give you money, give you everything. That's all. Yeah. So the one last line I want to say is, if anybody is really passionate about social entrepreneurship, want to learn more, have more, discuss more, yeah, I'm open. And like, you can always reach out. I'll give, yeah.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your insights.
Thank you for that. Would you want to add any closing remarks? Right. Thank you. This was a great session. As they say, less is more. We had less audience, but we had a very good session which ran for quite some time longer than what was anticipated. To conclude, the main learnings from today are that risk must be calculated before you jump into anything. And as everyone here was suggesting, you can have your own job first and then parallelly look at what you are good at or what you're passionate about so that you have a stable ground. And I'm sure the question of the next generation being afraid of having a startup or a business culture would be eradicated if we have a generation like this and like that coming up. So we are very happy to have you here. Thank you for your time. Thank you for sharing a lot of information with us. Thank you.
Sir, on behalf of Team Accenture, we would like to thank Arun Teja sir and Vijayender sir for taking time out of their schedule to be here with us. And a special thanks to Kirti ma'am for for joining us on this day. Additionally, if you guys could stay back for 2 more minutes, we would like to give you a hamper from our sponsors. Thank you, sir.